Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Thunderstorm podcast. This time, much like ThunderClub, we're going to be disappointing you. We are ThunderClub, and we're disappointing. Anyway, I'm Rin, and with me is Kaznarius.
Can't be disappointed if you weren't expecting anything at all.
Sliv.
I'm always a disappointment, so there's that.
The Pork Chopper.
Yeah, I don't disappoint anybody. I'm fucking awesome.
And as always, brought to you from Kaznarius' microphone this time around, we have the unnamed guest.
Have you ever known something's going to be disappointing, so you kind of get excited by just how disappointing it's going to be?
No.
Yeah, dude. It's called Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah, that's, I guess we could add that to the list now. Okay, so let's just hop right into it. What is the... Overall, if you had to, like, say what the biggest disappointment has been for you in terms of, like, games coming out, what would be the one you got the most hype for, the most excited for, and then it just came out and you just... It's like freaking the air coming out of a balloon. Like, you just... And not in the fun, like, way where it flies around the room. It just kind of sounds like a wet fart for about 10 seconds, and then you hate yourself. Like, what game made you feel that?
My expectations are so low, I can't be disappointed by anything.
Considering Sonic Frontiers just got announced, and it's looking a little bit rough around the edges, why don't we start off with Sonic 06? Because that one is a really interesting case, because with a lot of the other games we're going to be talking about, there's always going to be people that like these games, obviously. But with Sonic 06, it was almost like some Sonic fans went in the state of denial. Like, no, Sonic 06 is a good game. It's not that bad, guys. It's really like, you just got to get past a few of the glitches and some load times, and it's not that bad. It is that bad. It's terrible.
Oh, it's on par for the Sonic Adventure series.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you mean Sonic Adventure 3, bro?
Are we every YouTube channel ever saying Sonic Adventures bad?
No, I'm saying that Sonic 06 is Sonic Adventure 3. Prove me wrong.
You're dumb.
Is Sonic 06 the open world like RPG one?
No.
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 Okay.
It's the one that everyone hates. Basically, it was super rushed. Tech demos and like the reveal trailer were super exciting. They look super cool, and like to this day, I still firmly believe that opening trailer, like that we saw at, I think it was E3 2005 or even was it E3 2006? Either way, like that trailer is awesome, and the game came out, and it is one of the most broken things. Like it got to a point. It is to a point now where it is such a disappointment that it came around to being kind of funny. And people just like have come to expect this level of ineptitude from this game, and to an extent, the series it's never fully recovered, in my opinion.
I was gonna say, is that like the start of the decline of Sonic? Do you think?
I think Sonic was already on a bit of a downhill trend by that point. I think it was just
from the first game, realistically.
Fuck off.
This fucking guy.
I think it was just like a big symptom of a larger problem. Sonic 06 is a very bad game, but I think that it was something that was kind of coming up where Sega was seeming to slip a little bit more and more with each 3D Sonic game that came out. Like, some people hate on Shadow, but I kind of enjoy it, but it's still like not a technically great game. And then Sonic 06 comes out, it's been rushed because they need to make it for that anniversary. They got to get it out in time. It's supposed to be this big reboot for the series. The first of I think there's been 5 since then, because they can't get past 5 minutes without wanting to reboot it. Like, it is just strange.
Yeah. Well, so, Kaz, you were asking if it was like the start of the decline of Sonic, right? Well, it can't be the start of the decline of Sonic, because the best Sonic game came out afterwards. Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. It's an amazing game. No one's allowed to shit on it.
Yeah, I particularly like the soundtrack.
It's great. Yeah, Sonic 06 is weird. Is it like one of the first it's so bad it's good video games? You always hear that about movies, but I don't hear that as much about games.
I think there have been other examples of a game being so bad it's good. There's Big Rigs came out long before Sonic 06.
True.
I think it's just Sonic 06 was such a legendary failure. I don't think anything's ever been this massive, huge release, and it just fell so flat with so much hype behind it, and then everyone can make fun of it. It was one. I think maybe that it was one of the first games that kind of gained a reputation through YouTube, where I remember watching video after video after video, especially in early YouTube, about Sonic 06 just being bad. Reviews, people talk like just ripping the game a new one and like joking about how broken it is. I remember like seeing all these videos, and I think like maybe there's credence that Sonic 06 has the arguably benefit, maybe downside of like kind of being this weird early viral so bad it's good kind of thing, more so than just being a so bad it's good in general.
I think the thing that always amazed me about that game was that it's like the title they chose for it, Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, it's not like Sonic in the Dark Future or like I don't know, Sonic Apocalypse. It's just Sonic the Hedgehog. The name Sonic the Hedgehog is just forever associated with this garbage piece of shit dumpster fire that they had to have known was going to be a garbage piece of shit dumpster fire.
And also, like, it's confusing on a lot of levels. So, Sonic 06 was supposed to be this huge reboot for the series. Basically, Sonic 06 was going to lay the groundwork for every game that would come afterwards, kind of reintroducing this world, or sorry, introducing this new world for Sonic and Co. to kind of exist in, and kind of creating this new lore. The issue is that because it failed so badly, they had to abandon ship immediately, and also, like, it didn't make sense. And on top of it, at the same time, you have games like, oh god, Sonic the Hedgehog Game Boy Advance. And then you also have Sonic Advance. And I think like Sonic Rush was starting to come out around this time. Like you have all these different storylines and different versions of this character at the same time. Like if you're a kid or maybe a parent looking at this series, it must have been so confusing. And I remember like always being kind of baffled that they thought, oh yeah, this is going to be the big reboot. This is going to be the gritty like reimagining of this character. You even see it still with movies where they randomly like, just make a really edgy remake and try to bring the character into a modern world, and that means making them brooding and more deep and have deeper, darker villains and death and romance and all that dumb shit.
No, I especially associate romance with Sonic 06, my friend.
I think we all do.
That does make me think of a trend that I hate.
Furries?
Well, sure, but no. When you were talking about like the reboot thing, I really don't like when like a company reboots something or they just release like a new thing for it, and the title is just the title of the first one with like no subtitle at all. Thus, we're resorted to calling it Sonic 06 or God of War 2018. That kind of bullshit. I hate it. Just give it a subtitle.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed by your reboot. I'm also not dumb enough to be confused about a subtitle.
And also, like, kind of get creative with that subtitle. I think the world's kind of sick of everything having the next generation.
I just hate that trend. I hate that I have to refer to something by the year it was made in order to make people understand what it is.
So, one of my favorite games of all time, Breath of the Wild, is also one of the games that disappoints me the most. You know, it's got a spectacular open world. I really love it. I've put fucking so many hours into it, and it's the game that made me reconsider my stance on open world games. I was completely disenfranchised and kind of hated them up until playing Breath of the Wild, and it kind of made me want to give Skyrim another chance. And I didn't. But the thing about Breath of the Wild is that it takes so many steps forward that it forgets its roots, and it just kind of leaves you with this feeling of, man, this is good, but it could have been so much more. It could have gone further. The most egregious loss, pouring one out for all these Zelda dungeons, or like proper dungeons. The beasts were neat, but they were not Zelda dungeons.
Yeah, the beasts were neat, and the idea of having like this control over them was cool.
Yeah.
Although, for a lot of them, I think for like 3 of them, it was all rotation based.
Very basic stuff.
Yeah. And then the only one that wasn't rotation based was the elephant, which was even simpler than rotation. It was literally just you choose where the water falls. but they just felt like they took like 5 shrines and stapled them together as opposed to made a like real dungeon.
You know, and it's like not even just in terms of like puzzle solving. It's in terms of like the atmosphere of dungeons. One of the things I'll never forget is like our the first two dungeons of the Wind Waker are just they're just dripping in, well, the first one's dripping in magma, but it's just like so fun to explore this like, this hot volcano dungeon, and then like, you leave and you go outside and you're like going against the cliff, and there's this sense of scale to it. The Korok dungeon is also just like extremely memorable because of its dense atmosphere of like this fog and all this like creepy wildlife and all these vines coming up at you. And I feel like it really feels bad going through one of these dungeons and realizing, man, like, what's the atmosphere here?
Yeah, Breath of the Wild had an issue of just everything that was meaningful was the same.
Yes.
All of the beasts have the exact same interior decoration, and it's basically exactly the same as the shrines. And those are like the core gameplay bits I would find in the game. Outside of climbing mountains, there was climbing mountains, doing shrines, doing the beasts. Those were like the main things in Breath of the Wild, and most of it all had the same interior
Yeah.
decorator, and it kind of got boring.
I would say the party tricks landed and lasted for me a lot longer than they did for you. Uh, a lot of that exploration was still fun to me. Again, well into like 40 hours into the game, but it's that nothing really had that distinct feeling like a lot of Zelda dungeons do. And pick whatever your favorite like Zelda dungeon is. I guarantee like any location in Breath of the Wild like doesn't even hold a candle to it. Maybe Ganon's takeover of Zelda of
Hyrule Castle.
Hyrule Castle. Maybe we got something there. You're starting to get somewhere there because like, yeah, it's like good music, there's all this like shit on the walls. You're kind of seeing the castle from a different perspective, but it's that interesting atmosphere was sorely lacking from the game. So that's one issue. I'm going to be the one with the hot take in that I hate that you can just food yourself out of any tough situation.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I think a lot of people have lambasted that. The idea that you can just pause the game, eat 20 turkeys, and then you're perfectly fine.
I am totally
Yeah.
cool with that happening in the open world, but I think that when you actually hit that boss, it should either be very limited to like, I don't know, a tonic that buffs you or something, or like I just completely remove it altogether. I don't know. Just get the I can't eat anything right now. The gameplay reason is that Ganon will just fucking hit you if you're eating something in front of him. You
Well,
know,
I mean, Zelda's always been pretty lenient about it, but
sure.
they've always had a good way of doing it where your consumable items are tied to bottles, right?
Yeah.
You can have a health potion in a bottle, you can have the fairies in the bottles. So, what this game needed was just like a quick select menu that you can put food items in the quick select menu and you're allowed to use them in battle, and it would be really easy. It would just be like automatic, whatever, who cares. But you
It would be
couldn't
limited.
yeah, you could put maybe like 5 or 10 food items in and you can
Yeah.
use them and it's easy. But in the middle of combat, you can't pause, go into the menu and start eating. You can only use the things in your quick slot. And then out of combat, you could do whatever the hell you wanted because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think if you limit the amount of food you can eat, you would then again perpetually encourage people to seek out more shrines and more parts of the game because yeah, you want better armor, you want more hearts because you don't have those kinds of resources to um, be a crutch for you when it comes to actual boss fights.
It could also be a thing that you upgrade throughout the game.
Totally.
Your space of quick slots.
Yeah.
So yes, Kaz, I agree. It does need the Estus flask.
Everything's got to be Dark Souls. No, I mean, but like seriously, it's
I feel like this is turning into an E-Tank scenario again.
it kind of is. But
You cheated yourself out of the game.
you actually, but like, it's actually even way more egregious here because E-tanks are limited. Food you can find fucking everywhere, and you have infinite of them. Like, yeah, you kind of did cheat yourself when you just have an unlimited amount of health bars going into a fight, theoretically. Like, when you really think about it, where's the real challenge? It's self-imposed.
I can see it being a situation where it definitely encourages just throwing yourself at the boss and not really learning the strategy potentially. I can see there's a lot of risk there involved. Now I'm not super familiar with Breath of the Wild. I haven't played a lot of it.
Yeah.
Just other things have taken my time since I've had Breath of the Wild. But I think one of the big things, I think I can compare it maybe to like a Skyrim. Like you said, it almost made you want to play Skyrim, where like half of playing that game for me is making sure I have enough food and potions so that way I can tab out at any time, get back to full health, get back to full stamina, get back to full magic if I'm using magic, and just delete the enemy or just outsustain them just by existing and eating like 20 bricks of cheese in his face, completely breaking any immersion you had going on. Because let's face it, like, obviously if you're getting attacked by 5 skeletons, like, they're not going to just let you eat a friggin' like steak dinner and then like 12 cheese wheels to friggin' top it off, you know?
Probably
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. So, yeah, healing systems are very important in games. Like, how you handle healing is actually like a really big deal.
It's really difficult to get right though, especially because it really
Yeah.
depends on the game.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's a fine line to balance. To continue to shit on Breath of the Wild, a big disappointment that I felt through the whole game was that you never got any new items. Right? In Zelda, you always get new stuff as you go through the game that gives you more options, and it always feels pretty fun. I like that. In this game, you had the Sheikah Slate, and you had like 4 apps that you could use. I was expecting to get more apps as I went through the game. I didn't get more apps, and I was like, what the hell? This doesn't feel right. I know why they did it. They wanted everything to be accessible right from the beginning, so they couldn't limit what you could do based on what items you had collected. But it still just didn't feel right. It's one of my big disappointments of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, that's fair. Because even in an open world where you can go anywhere, there can still be certain things like shrines that you can't get to until you have like a certain item or ability or something.
Yeah, as long as you put like a fast travel point nearby it, so that people, if they go like, well, now I have that item, I can go back there, so they don't have to do a big arduous trek.
Yeah,
It's one of the
exactly.
that would be a big issue in the open world because open world games, they have a big problem of just there's lots of points where you're just walking from place to place and it takes a while. So if you had to go back to places now that you finally had the right item, it would be kind of frustrating.
I think it also brings up an interesting point that, like, Breath of the Wild is a technically good game. Like, a lot of people really love it. It is a very popular game. It's gotten a lot of awards, a lot of acclaim. It could still be something that disappoints a particular person. It could potentially disappoint a subset of people, or it could be just like I don't know about anyone else, but maybe this game just kind of isn't really vibing for me. I just prefer something different, and it really disappointed me.
A wise man once said, Breath of the Wild is a good game, but it's a bad Zelda game.
And that was Shigeru Miyamoto.
Yeah.
And that man was Albert Einstein.
That man was
Like there's
Shaquille
a
O'Neal.
lot of things that the open world sort of genre can learn from Breath of the Wild because I think it did open world exploration so much better than everything else. But it still has its own pitfalls and its own issues, of course, like every game will.
Yeah, I will say, like, Breath of the Wild was a great game, and I enjoyed it a lot, despite also hating it deeply. But I would say a disappointment in something good actually kind of hits harder than just being disappointed in something bad to a point.
Yeah,
Because
like Mass Effect 3's ending.
I
Fair
mean,
enough.
shit, man. Yeah, sorry. Say your point.
No, I was just gonna say, like, seeing something that's like so good, but it fucked up some things that you really wanted, it just feels even worse than if just everything was bad. Because at that point you just go, well, everything in this was a total shit show. Who cares?
I'm not to that extent, but like I do feel that way looking at Breath of the Wild's ending. Um, where
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah, the story content in Breath of the Wild, that was a big issue.
I mean, first of all, for me, it's just like you give everyone a voice, you give all the characters a voice, and then when Zelda asks him a question at the very end, you don't have the balls to give Link a one-word answer. Oh, just one word would have sealed the deal, baby. Do you have any idea how fucking amazing it was to hear the Doomslayer say no in the Doom Eternal DLC? No, you don't. It's amazing.
I don't know, man. Link should stay a silent protagonist. He's been that way 35 years.
I disagree. I
And
think he needs a
we're
voice.
not counting Wand of Gamelon here.
Like, it just, because I'm pretty sure in the context of the story, before Link went asleep, I got the feeling that he had a voice and he actually spoke to Zelda, and then all of a sudden this guy just doesn't talk.
No, actually, it was always stated in all the flashbacks that he basically never speaks.
Shut the fuck up, okay?
He was always like super mute. I'm sorry that you're wrong, but you are. It would have been great if at the end of the game Zelda asked Link a question. He just says, "No way, princess."
Well, think about it. Why would you ask a question to someone that can't
Excuse
talk?
me,
They
princess.
Oh, that
can't
was a lie.
answer you because they don't have a voice. Why would you ask a question?
Just, they can nod.
All that is
He
avoiding
didn't
the
do that either.
absolute. All that is avoiding the absolute dog shit last stage of the last boss battle, which was undeniably garbage.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Shoot the glowing bits, Link.
Pig Ganon sucks.
Yeah.
Fucking trash. And yeah, it does hit harder because that is still one of my favorite games of all time. And it's like, I don't know. I've got a lot of expectations going into the next one, obviously, and
You also got a lot of weight.
yeah,
Yeah, who knows when the fuck that'll come out?
yeah.
March of 2023. I'm telling you.
Along with the Switch too, like you've told
Yes,
us.
I am fucking telling you.
Switch 2 isn't coming out next year. Get over it.
Watch. This October they're gonna announce it. Okay, you just watch.
Mhm.
What are you guys betting on it? What's
Nothing.
the bet?
I'm just telling you. It's right.
Oh, I just wanted to get a bet going. It would have been funny. Anyway, okay.
I bet my dignity.
You don't have any.
I was about
Oh.
to make the same joke.
Okay, does anyone else want to shit on Breath of the Wild anymore, or do we want to move on to another game?
No, we can move on.
I'm not angry at Nintendo. I'm just disappointed about everything.
That's right. We're all Nintendo's dad. I had a special disappointment playing through Haven, more so than playing through Cyberpunk, which was an absolute failure on galactic proportions.
Yep.
Haven came from the same studio that made Fury, and Fury is, by all accounts, an absolute fucking indie gem. Like, I really, really love Fury. Haven is, when they announced it, I was expecting a co-op RPG that, you know, it was made for people that play games and they'd be able to like figure out their stats and like kind of I don't know, something along the lines. I thought I was getting into something along the lines of like, I don't know, a multiplayer like active time battle kind of thing. But what Haven is essentially is like the most rudimentary, just like attack, block, and chain attack, and that's really all you get. You get like 4 options, and it's it is like combat is so incredibly brain dead, and it is really sad to see that the same studio that brought all these fucking incredible boss fights just completely shit themselves on the gameplay front. Like, it feels like a game. Fury feels like a game that was made for absolute hardcore gamers. Haven feels like feels like the game that you bring to your girlfriend who's never played a video game before in her life and say, hey, let's play this. You basically have to hit one button every like 10 seconds. And it's really disappointing to see, because I still think that like something like an active time battle, like, I don't know, think Final Fantasy VI, but like with 2 parties of 3, one person controlling one party, another person controlling another party, just like a full game based around like a co-op RPG. I still think that could be a potentially great idea, especially if it has like actually intricate systems and actually interesting like ways to chain abilities and like work with your partner. But that just hasn't been done yet, I don't think. And then there's just the fact that I fucking hate Haven's story, and that's a completely separate thing.
I don't know, man. Like, how can you hate?
Yeah, giving them the old classic cummy bed. How could I forget? How could anyone forget? I'm in a sex positive relationship, I guess, and the way these two talk to each other really made me uncomfortable. I don't know, just the writing is so ass. Like I could not get over how bad the fucking writing is in this game, and I can't fathom being a one person playing this game alone. Like, it's just ugh. But yeah, I really hope. I don't know. The one thing it does give me hope for is that somebody will make that beautiful 2-player co-op RP like action. Well, no, classic RPG that actually has intricate elements to it. I give it 0 cummy beds out of 5. Sorry, I give it 1 cummy bed out of 10.
Jesus.
I'm still a lot of cummy beds.
Absolutely, it's a huge problem.
That's one too many. Does anybody here remember the PlayStation Vita?
I remember wanting to own one.
Yeah.
Did you ever get it?
No, and I'm disappointed.
Trust me, you want disappointment? You'd be disappointed if you bought it.
Oh, don't worry. I played the Vita version of Call of Duty Black Ops.
Me too.
Oh, God. Yeah, the 45-minute tech demo.
Yeah,
was
that
cool.
one. I know what disappointment feels.
I don't know what you're talking about. I borrowed Kaz's Vita with Persona 4 Golden, and I played through the whole thing, and I had a pretty good time. I have no disappointment with that console at all, probably because I only borrowed it.
Well, to be fair, the Vita
You played
is
like
Persona 4
the
Golden Machine.
best game on it, and it's also a game that you can play on other platforms anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
now you can.
Yeah, it wasn't at the time. Golden was only on the Vita.
Yeah, but like 4 people bought a Vita for that game. Let's be real.
Yeah, it really is. It really was a shame to see that there were like what 7 good games on that fucking thing after all those years and all those visual novels came
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I don't
if you're
know, man.
making a top 10 list, you're going to be stretching yourself.
Yeah.
The Vita wasn't really like it wasn't a bad handheld. It was actually a
No.
pretty good handheld.
Here's what it is. It was a really great, it was a really, really great JRPG and indie handheld. But when Sony gets up on stage at like E3 and they sell you a PlayStation 3 in your pocket and they show it playing stuff like Killzone 3, and the thing comes out and it's got like fuck all for games on it. Even Sony's own first party games, they didn't even believe in the system enough to have their actual A teams make it. It's all like these fucking B teams. Like, instead of Gorilla, it's Gorilla Cambridge, which was just some London studio that they changed the name so that they could say from the makers of Killzone, because it says fucking Gorilla on it. It's
I will
bullshit.
I will say the Vita at launch, it was very well supported by Sony, and Sony was really pushing it. I
Yeah,
think
man.
the problem is they just didn't know how to really follow up on that. They didn't really like the Vita's launch was a little bit rocky. I remember hearing things about like Wasn't there some stuff about like mandatory carriers in some regions, like
For
in the
the
US?
3G version that cost an extra $50, yes, and the 3G was fucking
Yeah,
useless. It was literally
yeah. So you had that,
leaderboards.
and then you had things like the proprietary memory cards, and just like right at the gate, you have these things that are becoming at this point very difficult pills to swallow. You have a situation where you are competing against the 3DS, a system that has an SD card slot because it is the 2010s at this point. We don't need proprietary memory systems. And we
Dude,
have
not
the Vita come out with its weird ass like memory card that's 3 times the price of every other memory card out there. And the storage it was built with sucked.
like not only that, you launched it less than a year after the 3DS, which launched at the same price point and failed so hard that Nintendo had to drop the price. And you still shit the bed. Like $99 for a 32 gig memory card when you can get a 32 gig for like 20-25 bucks. That's
Yeah.
insane. And then the fact that it didn't even have a gig of built-in storage so that out of the box you could play a game. The Vita cartridges didn't have any save slots on them, so you literally needed a memory card just to save a game. And that's just extra money on top of this already overpriced handheld.
Yeah, it's really weird that they didn't just put a memory card in the box. They could have put the
No,
worst memory card in the
It's
box.
Sony too. Sony makes like SSDs and shit. They make memory. They easily could have done that at cost. There's no reason for them not to.
no,
Weird.
I do believe the Vita did have some internal storage. It wasn't just like it was empty. Like there
Nope.
was enough storage that
Nope.
you could save your games.
No, there wasn't. That
Because
was
I
the
don't
Vita. That was the Vita Slim. The original Vita, the launch
because
one,
I
had
have
no storage.
because I have an original Vita and I definitely am able to save games on it.
I can't, and I have one from launch day. You literally can't
I
do
have the
anything without a
oldest
memory
Vita
card.
known to man. I does not have Uno.
Now I need to like fact check this right quick.
Yeah, fact check. I'm telling you, dude, they literally added a gigabyte to the Vita Slim for this reason, so that you could save your games.
Well, either way, the Vita's problem was that every good game on it was essentially a port or a weird sequel to something that you could get somewhere else.
Every good game on the top 10 list, minus Killzone Mercenary, is a launch game. That's one of the main
That
problems.
too.
Like once it launched, they just Sony like wiped their hands clean and they had their team finish up Killzone and that was it. Oh, sorry, we got Resistance Burning Skies, but let's not even get started on that piece of shit.
Yeah, garbage.
Oh, don't worry. There's even more Vita disappointment we can dip into. Because Rin double dipped on the Vita disappointment by getting Mighty Number 9 for it.
Oh my god.
As a digital
Wow.
download, yeah.
Why?
Oh,
He
okay.
didn't
So
know.
my mindset was I wanted more reasons to play my Vita. I wasn't like playing it enough. So whenever I was back in games in like the early like to mid 2010s, I would always pick the Vita version, and without fail, it's caused problems. Like I backed Shantae Half Genie Hero, the Vita version. Luckily, they were really supportive with because I believe a lot of stuff never went to the Vita. They just gave everyone PC codes that got the Vita version. I got my number 9 on it. There were a couple other like digital downloads I specifically got for the Vita, just because I'm like, well, I don't like my Vita enough. I'm going to do this on my. I'm just gonna get this for my Vita, and now I'll play the Vita more. And I just don't like. I don't even know where my Vita is right now. I have no idea.
Mine's in shrink wrap in the garage.
I will say that when I think about all the the Vita games I've played, I've probably spent more time playing just PSP games on it than actual Vita games, or even like PS1 games that they put on the online store. Store. I don't know why I said it that way. There was like a weird, like it was just really good for playing games. I really liked that little digital storefront they had for the PSP and Vita. So
I will
Naturally,
agree
I
with
had a
that. I played Peace Walker on it, and
yeah,
the battery life lasted really long because it was a PSP game and it ran really well. It looked like shit because it still had dithering, but it ran
but
well.
yeah. I played all. Let's see, Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and yeah, Peace Walker on it too. I remember I finally beat God that the weird ass game by the guys that made Disgaea, like Unlosing Ranger versus Dark Death Evil Man. That was a pretty good game.
What the
Zeta Hero
fuck?
Project.
Yeah, Zeta Hero Project. Fucking amazing game actually. But still, also a PSP game. You
Yeah.
know, uh, I'm gonna miss that digital storefront when it goes. I will say that. I have more memories just like finding little gems on that thing than I did like actually buying the things that Sony were marketing. Which,
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, to be fair, wasn't a lot.
Yeah, no shit.
Like, let's be real here. They like that dropped off like the fucking year after the Vita came out.
I remember it was like 2 or 3 years after the Vita, and they had an E3 conference, and they didn't even mention the Vita.
Yeah.
People were fucking livid.
Yep.
Now, I have done a little bit of fact checking. So basically, the thing I got confused about, I'm technically wrong. A lot of a lot of Vitas were sold as bundles with a game, and when you got a bundle with a game, you generally got a 4 GB memory card with it.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
And my Vita is the Walking Dead one, and because I just haven't played my Vita enough, I just don't remember that I have a memory card in it.
Okay. That makes sense. Because, yeah, I remember I bought a 16 gig and then a 32 gig because I realized I couldn't save my games.
Another fun thing to note is that after 2012, sales were so bad for the Vita that Sony literally had to start releasing their sales figures combining PSP and PS Vita sales to try and
Jesus Christ.
make up they projected to sell 16 million units, and then they had to keep slashing that projection down when you combined with the PSP.
Oh, that is an L and a half.
I think, didn't they only sell like, I think it got beat by the Wii U. I think they only sold like 9 or 10 million or some shit like that. It's like, it's a fucking failure, man. It's crazy though, because it looks like after the failure of, or the initial failure of the 3DS, and then watching Sony fail with the Vita, Nintendo was like, hey, let's learn from all of this. And then they released the Switch, which is exactly what the Vita was supposed to be. And it's miles better. Still has problems, but it's at least good.
So there are some estimates out there because there aren't like pure sales figures just for the Vita because of that weird mix where they started mixing it with the PSP.
Yeah.
It is estimated that the PS Vita did sell 15 million units. So it did okay.
If they sold 15, that's good. I don't believe that for a second, but if they did, that's that's cool.
Yeah, because you're kind of combining it with the PSP sales, and the PSP was still kind of kicking around for a long while.
Yeah.
Who knows? The PSP was probably more successful than the Vita was. Well, it was by far.
I mean, especially since people had the option of buying a PSP that they could mod and play tons of shit versus the Vita, which had no games. So it's like, why would you spend $250 on a Vita? Ignore the fact that I did, but why would you?
Pouring out for the Vita. I remember playing P3 on it, and it was pretty cool. Okay. Fuck, that was also a PSP game. God damn it. Okay. Hey guys, remember Mario 3D All Stars?
Oh boy. Just seen my chair.
No, I
Fucking-
can't buy it anywhere. I don't see it anywhere. What
That's
is this?
so
Yeah, I
weird.
don't think
They
that
can't
game ever
buy it
released.
anywhere.
Okay. The irony is with that is that you can still probably find copies in stores. It is
Oh, easily. I see them everywhere.
yeah, it's kind of funny that in the end it ended up actually being a pretty common game. So, for those of you who missed it, dear viewers, back I think it was it 2 years ago
All
now?
2020.
Yeah, fall of 2020, Nintendo announced that they're re-releasing Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy as a collection on the Switch. And it was only going to be for a limited time as both a physical and a digital release. So if you did not buy it, and I think there's like a 6-month window, you just weren't allowed to, like they were saying, you would not be able to buy it anymore. And the collection comes out, and it is honestly, I almost think that the collection itself is more disappointing in a lot of ways than the stupid restrictions on sales. And I hope Nintendo never pulls that shit again, because frankly, it like bugs me. But the fact is, they succeeded. It sold really well.
Where the fuck is Mario Galaxy 2?
Yeah, so you release this collection.
Yeah.
It has 3 games on it. It has Mario 64, which did have some work done on it to make it play in widescreen and everything, but not really anything. And you have to, in this scenario, you have to compare to what an emulator can do, because you have to compare this old game, something that a multi-billion-dollar company could put together as a celebration of their largest property after I think it was a 35-year anniversary, versus what a guy who's 12 years old can do in Project 64 in about 20 minutes. And Mario 64 in widescreen, all right, and it was a little bit cleaned up in some ways, if I remember correctly. It looks nice, but it's the later like it's a weird mix where it's this weird amalgamation of the US version of the game, but the Japanese 1.1 version of Mario 64, so some things got changed. So like some people actually complained that it was a little bit awkward in some places, because it's just the small little itty bitty changes kind of like threw people off. After that, you have Mario Sunshine, which it is awesome that game is on another console as in the GameCube. I really appreciate that. The issue is that Mario Sunshine does not work well without an analog controller. Mario Sunshine, despite being a GameCube game, does not support the GameCube adapter. So once again, you don't have analog support, and I don't even know if the GameCube adapter will play with that anyway. So you have this weird situation where Mario Sunshine feels really awkward to play in All Stars. Like, I really hated playing Mario Sunshine in All Stars. And then, like, Mario Galaxy was hardly changed at all. And you didn't get Mario Galaxy 2. And you got no bonuses. And the menus looked like they were just, like, slapped together in about 5 minutes. And it was just the game on its own with no bonuses. Like, and this is how one of the hugest companies, one of the hugest entertainment companies, not just gaming, one of the largest entertainment companies on the planet, like, celebrates its most successful brand. That is hilarious to me.
Yeah, 35 years.
So, like, on top of it, they also had, like, the Mario 100, which was really cool, and they got rid of it, too. Like, it's just boneheaded move after boneheaded move with everything to do with this 35th anniversary. And they went around saying, like, oh, yeah, you're not going to be able to get it anymore, which led to, I swear Nintendo, like, thrives on scalping. They have to. They have, like, I am sure some big brain up there thinks it is great that their stuff gets scalped, because there is no other reason you would limit sales of Mario 3D All-Stars, a game that would likely just keep selling units, other than to create artificial scarcity in the front load and get people to buy a bunch of copies, and then, like, if there's copies in the store afterwards, whatever, they'll eventually sell anyway.
I mean, didn't they get caught doing that with the Wii, which is what made it initially fucking fly off shelves, because people thought it was super hard to get, but it's just because Nintendo was sending like minimal amounts to stores?
I don't know about that. I know that Nintendo has a history of it, though, because Amiibo exists, and Amiibo is the poster child of, we made like 3 for a couple stores here and there, have at her, and just people went rabid and were picking up every Amiibo they could find, and it got to a point that they're selling for hundreds and hundreds of dollars on eBay. Nintendo has a clear recent history of that kind of behavior. And Mario All-Star, like Mario 3D All-Stars, just completely solidified that. Like, dude, this is supposed to be your big collection of your big, like, celebration of Mario. Like, I know that in the past, your celebrations of Mario releases have been a little bit rougher on the edges. For Christ's sake, at one point they released freaking Super Mario All-Stars on its own on a Wii disc, but man, at least there you have 4 games in it in a neat, tidy package that's actually styled around Mario.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing
At least there you got an art book and I think a CD.
the one thing I will say is that, earlier we said, well, luckily it's a really accessible and easy to find game right now. On a long enough timeline, that won't fucking matter.
On a long enough
Yeah.
timeline, that doesn't matter for any game, though.
Well, I remember.
Well, not true for a lot of digital games. I
Yeah,
mean,
digital, that's one thing. Physical is another.
Yeah, in physical, print runs will always end at some point. But Nintendo does like to weaponize FOMO in a really annoying way, and it kind of
Yeah,
pisses me
because
off.
with Mario 3D All Stars, they came out of the woodwork and they're like, "Yeah, we're getting rid of the digital version too. You will just not be able to obtain this game."
Yeah, I can
Like,
definitely understand a limited physical run, but taking it off the online store as well to make people feel FOMO is shitty, and fuck them. I did not buy it, especially because of that.
Hey, at least Mario got a 35th anniversary celebration. What did Zelda get?
a Game and
Skyward
Watch.
Sword and a
Game &
pair of
Watch.
Joy-Cons?
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Well,
I can't
Come
remember,
on, Nintendo.
was Skyward Sword HD actually like good?
It's better than Skyward Sword on Wii, just due to the fact that you can turn off motion controls or turn them on if you wanted.
I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly, the visuals were like, I think barely touched up. It was
Yeah.
up-resed,
Pretty
and that
much.
was pretty much it.
Okay.
I didn't like the fact, but I'm also sort of indifferent to the fact of the Zelda Loftwing amiibo's functionality being just teleport out from anywhere.
Yeah, because that kind of breaks the game, doesn't it?
Yeah, because like in Skyward Sword, you had your bird statues, right? Your Loftwing statues, and that's how you would save your game or get from the surface to the sky. Scanning in the Loftwing amiibo would do that for any place in the game.
Pay to
So
win.
it's the easy mode button.
anyway, point is, the Nintendo Vault is just as stupid as the Disney Vault, and
The Nintendo Vault.
That's basically what it is.
it's happened to this game. It happened to their re-release of that Fire Emblem game shortly after.
Oh my
and
god, yeah.
Yep, Fire
It-
Emblem 1 for
it's
even
gonna-
less time.
And who knows? It's probably gonna happen again. Why not?
Wait
Well, they
I'm
till
sure
haven't
that they were
pressed their
successful.
luck, so
wait till those you know how you had to pay like an extra premium to play N64 games on the Nintendo Online?
Yeah.
Wait till eventually they start rotating some of those N64 games out for new ones
Dude.
coming in. I could
I
see them
still
doing
can't
it.
believe how much fucking money they charge for that shit.
Yeah, that's stupid as hell.
Yeah, they are charging. And here's the thing, you know what? If they just did what they did with the Wii and they just put them up and you can buy it for $10,
They'd make more
which
money.
is they'd make more money, and on top of it, you'd have people that were happy. They're like, I can officially buy Star Fox 64 on the Switch, and that's pretty rad. And I can play it anywhere. I don't have to be online. I don't have to deal with all this stupid shit. I don't have to pay a subscription service. I just own this game digitally, and I can play it. And they would earn more money that way. At least they'd earn more money in the short term. I don't know about, like, maybe someone subscribes to the Nintendo Switch online for 10 years or something, and it might end up being more if they only play the one game.
Yeah.
Or only
I
buy the
could-
one game, but
If they just had proper online functionality with like voice chat and stuff like that for $20 a year, people would subscribe to that and still buy all the classic games, and Nintendo would just make more money.
I don't know. I'm sure Nintendo has analysts going through all of the numbers and they figured out the best way to nickel and dime you. I assume that they're pretty confident about it, and they are actually probably right in some capacity. I haven't looked at the numbers because I don't think it's out there for how many people are subscribed to the like premium version of Switch Online. But I know that a lot of people who buy Switches are idiots, so I'm sure there's actually quite a number.
I
Probably.
don't know, man. I don't think you should beat yourself up too hard about buying a Switch.
Oh, I feel bad about buying my Switch, don't worry. No, I don't. It's a decent console, and I've got a decent number of games now. And I don't pay for my online, I just steal yours, so I'm
It's
not
a gift.
Sure.
Because I
So
know you love gifts.
truly. So I don't feel stupid at all. I'm the rare 1% smart Switch buyer.
speaking of dumb console purchases, how about, especially if we're talking about like weird FOMO bullshit, how about when the PlayStation Mini came out a couple years back?
Whew.
I hope you like your games running at 50 hertz.
So, once again, it is a mini console to capitalize on the fact that the NES and SNES Classic had come out. and they did awesome. I think the Genesis Classic came after this, like the actual Genesis Classic, and not one of those AT games ones.
Yeah.
So PlayStation threw their hat in the ring and they went, we're going to do this as half-assed as possible and people are going to love us for it. Mixing ROMs, the European and North American versions of these games, including games that benefit from analog controllers and only having the original D-pad only versions of the PlayStation 1 controller. The weird, just confusing game selection because some of these games, some of the most popular PlayStation games are just in this weird legal limbo. So you have like just this weird combination of events all coming together to have this like sort of strange amalgamation of some PS1 ROMs on. You might as well be playing it on a Raspberry Pi. I mean, like, I have to assume you get better performance on one. I mean, to a point, I believe that the PS1 Classic is just running open source emulator software because I've heard of people just getting in through just plugging a USB keyboard in and hitting escape. Like, it is that broken. I remember going to stores and they couldn't get rid of them.
Yeah, I forget. I think it was EB Games had it one year at like Christmas, and it was like I think $15, and no one wanted it.
No one wanted it. Because at best, you're just going to use it to make a PS1 exclusive emulation station.
There's also just not a lot of games on it.
Yeah, it was like 20
Yeah.
games and
Well,
like
half the games that were on the list didn't really have any business being there, if we're being honest, considering the games that were available for the PS1.
yeah, well, let's go over the list really quick because I can probably open it up pretty quickly.
From what I remember, on a PlayStation 1 classic console, no Twisted Metal, no Spyro the Dragon, no Crash Bandicoot.
Dude, no
Like, what
Gran
do you have?
Turismo.
No Gran Turismo.
Their own fucking massive seller. Why would that not be there?
So, ignoring the Japanese exclusive ones, because Japan did get some different games
Yeah.
than North America and PAL and everywhere else. So you got Battle Arena Toshiden, Cool Borders 2, Destruction Derby, Final Fantasy 7, GTA, Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash, Metal Gear Solid, Mr. Driller, Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, Ridge Racer Type 4, Rayman, Resident Evil Director's Cut, Revelations Persona, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Siphon Filter, Tekken 3, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, Twisted Metal, and Wild Arms.
Yeah, they did
Okay.
have Twisted Metal. They didn't have Twisted Metal 2, which is a
Yeah.
vastly better game.
Yeah.
You're missing a lot. When you think PlayStation 1, you immediately think of two games, Crash
Pepsi
Bandicoot
Man.
and Spyro and Pepsi Man. I guess, if you're crazy. That's 3, but whatever. It's close enough to 2.
Yeah, it is weird
You-
that Spyro's not on this. Who has the license for Spyro?
Universal, I believe.
Okay, that would maybe make
For
sense.
who?
Spyro.
Spyro is Activision has Spyro, I believe.
But I believe there's also like a film studio that just owns the rights to it.
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe.
Both Spyro and Crash have weird, like, legal stuff going on with them.
It's not a great list. I mean, there's some
No,
good
it's
stuff
really
in
not.
there.
Ah,
But-
absolutely. Yeah, you could probably take out half of this list and replace it with better games, even in the same genres.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's Cool Borders, but I'm pretty sure, I think SSX was on the PS1, I think.
Yep.
So, like, why the fuck is it Cool Borders 2?
And when you think a game like, first off, where the hell's Gran Turismo? But Ridge Racer's a pretty solid game, but do you want to play a 3D racing game with a D-pad?
No.
Hell no. What the fuck? It's like Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid was one of the games where you could turn on the analog sticks instead of the D-pad. Why wouldn't you want to?
And I believe it was either Siphon Filter or Rainbow Six that, like, you basically needed it to play the game. Like, you basically needed a control stick.
Yeah, well, Rainbow Six is an FPS, so I'm pretty sure that definitely needs it.
Now, Japan did get some different ones. They got Arc the Lad 1 and 2 and Armored Core. They got some Gradius stuff. They got Parasite Eve, They got Saga Frontier, and they got a game called XI, which became known as Devil Dice over here. So the PlayStation Classic was just such a like it had to be just an intern got given this project and the freaking like plastic molding and like some freaking boards and was just like, here, figure it out.
I believe it because I can picture the PlayStation executives in a meeting and they're like, yeah, look at all these Nintendo mini consoles. They're selling boatloads of them. We can just throw some shit together and everybody's going to buy it.
And
They
like completely missing the point because say what you will about Nintendo, they know how to when they're firing all cylinders, they know how to put together a decent quality product that really celebrates what it's meant to represent. The NES and SNES Classic are freaking awesome.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, the PlayStation Mini was also, I think, more expensive than the Nintendo was, and I think you only got was
It
it
was like
one controller or something like that?
I don't know.
I think they're
it
similarly
launched for
priced.
$70 Canadian.
I think it was more closer to 100. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, I
can't
could be
remember 'cause
wrong,
it
but I
went down.
remember it being more expensive than the Nintendo ones when it came out.
Yeah, the Nintendo ones were 50 though, weren't they?
God no.
They were a little cheaper than that.
They're more expensive than that, I thought.
Mine was. Mine was cheaper than that.
Oh, you're a lucky asshole. I don't know.
Sure am. I already talked to Nameless Guest about this, but man, every Paper Mario past Thousand Year Door has lost the magic of those two original games.
Yeah.
Now, okay, and I'll state because I know you want to say a bunch of things because you played Super Mario, you played all these Paper Mario games. I understand that, Nameless Guest, but from my perspective, Super Paper Mario, pretty good game. I can just say that because it is just genuinely fun. It's got like some really wacky, fun world puzzles, and I like it quite a bit. But the fact of the matter is, it's not really what I came to Paper Mario for. I came to Paper Mario because of that fucking neat ass art style slash actually fun RPG combat and turning that into like a weird platformer thing with RPG elements. I don't know. It's just weird. I'll let you go now.
Okay. So Paper Mario, the original and Thousand Year Door are like classics. They're great. Super Paper Mario comes out. It is not like a turn-based RPG, and that is weird because the other two were turn-based RPGs, and it was great. Super Paper Mario is still a great game that I recommend people play because it's super fun. But it's not what I wanted, and I was disappointed by it. But I can live with it because it was great. The real problem starts with Sticker Star, because Sticker Star was the promised return to form. You're going back to turn-based combat, and they fucked everything up. Everything went into the dumpster. It was terrible. They removed all unique character designs. Everything was generic Mario, like generic Toads, generic like Goombas and Koopa Troopas. Nothing interesting at all. The plot was just Bowser kidnaps Peach. It has like a traditional Mario style overworld instead of what Paper Mario had, where you had like a hub city and there were different ways to get to the various like main areas of the game, which was really cool and worked well for it. But no, now we're just standard like Mario 3 overworld map bullshit. It sucked. It was boring. And then they fucked the turn-based combat. Before, Mario would have a partner. Now it's Mario just by himself. All your attacks are consumable items. And to get more turns in combat, you have to pay coins. And the only reward for winning fights is more coins. So the strategy was just to stockpile items and coins and then run away from every fight because there's no reason to fight anything outside of the boss. It was stupid and horrible, and most bosses came down to you could find the special thing stickers, which the thing stickers were like physical 3D objects instead of paper objects. They brought way too much attention to the fact that people were made out of paper. and you would use those to just like take out half the boss's HP or something. It was awful. I don't know what they were thinking. They removed all RPG from it, but they kept the turn-based combat, but they made the turn-based combat terrible. They removed all humor and wit from the game. It was just standard Mario. What the fuck? Sticker Star is one of the worst things ever, and I own it, and I'm mad about the fact that I own it.
Another, like, speaking of just disappointments surrounding Paper Mario, it is such a shame too that we have never seen a lot of these characters ever come back. Like, it is such a shame that a lot of the partner characters are just like relegated to maybe a cameo in the background.
I can say that I played Thousand Year Door like 14 years ago, never beat it, and I can tell you that I still remember the section with Coops looking for his dead dad. Like, these little characters are so fucking endearing and both like simplistic yet like, I don't know, immediately recognizable designs and just the way they talk.
The other thing is that so much love went into just like even small things and like things that most people will never see. Like, there's one thing someone recently discovered that like when Vivian, because her ability is to like pull Mario down underground with her and she like grabs onto him to do it. When she comes up, she actually frowns for a few frames because she has to let Mario go and she liked hugging him.
Yeah,
And then she goes back to smiling.
there's a lot of soul in the games that is definitely
Yeah.
missing from like Sticker Star onwards. And like Thousand Year Door, the main city of it is Rogueport, and it's this shit town filled with like thieves and gangsters and like mob bosses. There's a noose in the middle of town because people get hanged there. It's weird and it's cool because of that, because you wouldn't expect to see that in a Mario game. The first thing that happens is that someone pickpockets half your money, basically. It's cool. And then they went back to really generic Mario crap because we can't have Mario be unique and interesting. It always has to be the same thing every time. And then there's more sequels. There's more bad Paper Mario games than there are good. Well, it's equal now, but like Color Splash was just Sticker Star 2. When Color Splash was announced, people were like, "Oh, please return to form for the love of God." No. Still trash garbage, still just Sticker Star. Apparently Origami King is okay, but I'm not willing to give it a shot.
It's literally not an RPG at all though. So it's
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of not Paper Mario.
They removed all the RPG from Sticker Star onwards. There was RPG elements in Super Paper Mario, even though it wasn't like a turn-based thing. It was pretty superfluous, but it was there.
And the fact that there's all the stories about like Miyamoto going in and telling the team that they're not allowed to make a Paper Mario game like the original or Thousand Year Door, they have to do something different, is absolutely ridiculous to me.
As an outsider looking in, because again, I've never really beaten either of the two original games. The thing that that really disappoints me the most is the fact that each game after Thousand Year Door, each game makes a point to make paper. It's like an attack. It's an ability. Oh, Mario puts himself into like uh, a printer, and he puts out a million different other Marios. There's this weird push to like make paper be the focus, and how wacky it is that like paper is interacting with all these things. And I look at that and I look at like all the different things they're doing with paper and like, oh, isn't it weird that like all this is like cardboard and it's like all springy and shit. And I compare that to like Thousand Year Door, and it's like immediately obvious to me that with these two original games, the point was never that the characters were paper. It's that that was simply the aesthetic and the medium of the story. That was just how these writers and these game developers wanted to tell their story. It just so happened to be paper. And now it's like paper is the point. Oh, it's got to be stickers. It's got to be all about drawing on paper. And it's like fucking depressing to see the same series kind of lose touch with what made it artistically interesting.
A couple points to make. First off, like in Japan, Paper Mario was actually just called Mario Story.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was the visual style of it was because it was a pop-up book,
Yeah.
right? So they were all cardboard cutouts because of that. And someone was like, "Oh, they're all 2D." It was like paper, so we call it Paper Mario because Americans are stupid and won't be able to figure this out for some reason unless we explicitly tell them.
And then, like, in Thousand Year Door, we did get some allusions to the fact that Mario is paper, but it was, like, presented in the form of you're literally being cursed to, like,
Yeah,
horribly misform your body into a paper airplane. Like,
But-
And that's fine as a bit.
yeah, but they were never part of the main plot.
yeah.
They were always like a small little joke. Whereas in these new ones, Origami King, it's literally that all the characters being turned into origami figures because lol, they're paper. Fuck off. The earlier games would have a few paper jokes, and that was fine, but it also had a lot of fun, like dialogue, fun and funny dialogue. The newer games, everything, the story and the writing is just lol, we're paper. Thanks. I hate it.
All right, so we're going to cut it off here. We've talked about some very disappointing things, and I think the biggest disappointment of all is that we have to get going so soon, but we'll be back soon. And of course, if you can't get enough of us, you can check us out on Twitter at THNDRCLUB, or you can consider subscribing and doing that like thing. It really helps us out. I've been Rin, and with me has been Kazanarius,
The biggest disappointment is that it didn't record.
Sliv,
The biggest disappointment is that we don't use our Twitch.
at twitch.tv/ThunderClub, the Pork Chopper,
See you later.
and as always, the unnamed guest.
The biggest disappointment is that the pork chopper didn't have a biggest disappointment joke.
Shut the fuck up, okay?
And the
Fucking
biggest
got it.
disappointment of all is that we are out of here. See you guys later.